I've owned this magnificent Rover Streetwise. I use the word magnificent advisedly because it quite clearly isn't, for almost a week now, and those 6 or 7 days have thrown up some quite serious issues that I'm going to have to deal with. Namely so the fact that any time any water gets anywhere near it, it ends up in the interior, and that's obviously not great. I've opened up this sunroof, which I believe to be the main culprit for the leakiness, and we have a rather soggy headlining up here. We have a very, very soggy rear passenger carpet. Not so soggy carpet on the front passenger side, but a really soggy soundproofing and underlay underneath. If you squelch it with your feet, doesn't sound good. So I am going to either clean out all the drainage channels and see if I can fix up the seals on this sunroof, or perhaps just seal it all together so it never opens again. And hopefully that will solve the problem. I'm locked in. Where's my handle? There we go. With my sunroof open, then you can see the issue. So that seal actually was very comfortably placed on here, but this one only came to about here, about there, and then it was tucked underneath. It was folded underneath, so I believe water's been getting in. And if you look in that channel there, it is very, very mucky, horrible. There's bits of corroded metal, everything. It is absolutely disgusting in there. So I think that's one of our big problems. We've got a little bit of rust coming through there, to be honest. If there's a way that I could just pull that sunroof out and just, I don't know, weld a big massive chunk of metal in, I definitely would, because sunroofs are horrendous and they are a big problem. Instead of just clearing the channels, I suppose I've kind of bit the bullet now and removed the whole of the sunroof seal, which is down there on the bonnet. And you can see some of the muck that came out as I was doing it. So I almost fell off the car there because I'm standing up on it. And this is not a pretty sight. Look at all that rusty steel. Flipping heck. That is, you can see an outprint of a leaf that was sitting there for a long time. Look at all of that. Oh my goodness me, that really is horrendous. How the hell am I going to fix this? I suppose clear all, I mean, that's the lip where the sunroof seal lives, isn't it? So I think I'm going to have to seal this up, to be honest. I don't think we're going to be able to use this sunroof. So there is the sunroof, completely gaffer taped up. Not the neatest job you've ever seen there, but hopefully that will be at least temporarily watertight. Another day, more Rover Streetwise misery. So yes, carpets, and it's really, really rubbish news. Again, you can actually see the glisten off that carpet down there. Watch this. It's soggy and soaking wet. Why are Rovers so dreadful? Look at that on my fingers, it's soaking. Sunroof's taped up, so I don't think it's coming from that, and the sunroof, or the headlining, is lovely and dry. Oh, good lord. Anyway, right, so it's time for me then to whip out these seats so I can try and get at the carpets and solve that issue. So I think it's a, is it a T50 hex head bolt, or nut thingy screw, whatever you want to call it, socket, that I'm going to have to utilise to remove these seats. So bear with me. The passenger seat is now out. There it is. And I mean, frustratingly, I managed to break this little electrical clip thingy which sits underneath it. Broke it off there. You can see that's the remnants of it. It shouldn't have just broke off like that the way it did. So yeah, I don't quite know what that means, but that will definitely come back to haunt me. Just you wait and see. Look how wet it is in here. Look at the water seeping out of that sound, out of that foam, that sound deadening. Cables are all wet under there. Oh, look at all that water. Look, hang on a second. Look at that. Oh my goodness me. That is horrendous. The driver's seat is now out as well, and things aren't as bad as I feared they may be under here. This has always seemed to be quite dry, but you can see on this cable here there is a little bit of moisture ingress, and then when we open up this little hatch here, it's damp to the touch, so there is water getting in there as well, which is a bit annoying, really. Yeah, it's just going to be a lot of work, really, isn't it? So I fear we may have to remove that centre console completely, pull those grommets out, remove the plastic trim, lift these door rubbers, oh, and take off the seatbelt mountings as well, remove these plastic trim pieces, etc, etc. I suppose the next thing to do then is remove that rear bench. The rear bench is out. And it all looks okay here. There is some insect action going on. As you can see, there's a little woodlouse carcass and lots of leaves and debris knocking around in here. Here is the rear bench. And yeah, there's some sign of water ingress in places. You can see a little bit of water staining and some rather horribleness going on there. Finest Longbridge craftsmanship, which not even 20 years after rolled out the factory with only 79,000 miles on it, is already starting to fall apart. But we won't let that get in the way of anything, will we? Yeah, so then the next step is to undo the trim here, as I was mentioning earlier on, and I think we're going to have to remove that centre console. Let me just show you that. I did watch a video earlier on. You've got to get in behind these vents, pop them out, disconnect the electrics, and then pull all of this trim panel out of the car. That's going to be fun, isn't it? And I also thought I'd show off my new socket set. Look at this bad boy. Picked it up yesterday for €150, which I thought was a pretty good deal. I'm forever scratching around for tools and, you know, old socket sets that I've got that are a bit knackered. But look at this absolute weapon. God, look at that. I got all of your torque head whatever thingy bobbies and all your sockets and your wrenches and all of your screwdriver attachments there. Look at that, isn't that wonderful? Allen keys and everything. For 150 quid, I thought that was rather bargainous, to be perfectly honest. Progress is, well, it's pretty rapid. I have removed the centre console vent and then I can just get in behind to push out these buttons. But the problem is I haven't got any way of taking the radio out, which I'm probably going to have to remove to get the centre console out. I need to get those U-shaped prong thingies that you push in and remove the radio with. Although actually I can't see any holes or any way of doing that. Maybe if I just chuck a screwdriver in there and gently lever it out, that'll work. But I've disconnected, or I've unscrewed the screws that hold the centre or this panel in here, and it was remarkable how quickly the gear knob came off. It just literally fell off my hand as soon as I applied some upward pressure. So let's try and remove this centre console bit then. That centre trim piece is now out. It did put up a bit of a fight, but it's now out of the car. There it is there. Looks lovely from underneath, doesn't it? It looks pristine. Until you flip it over and you realise it's actually pretty flipping horrible. So that's going to need a good clean. And, well, I mean, I'm sure these parts here are made from absolute unobtainium. These gear stick gator thingies. That one's knackered. They are a known weakness, as is the entire car. It is a known weakness because it's not particularly very good. No, look, I'm probably being quite harsh on it there. I do think there's a good car in here somewhere. And, you know, Rover, bless them, were absolutely skint when they put these together. It is now time to remove this carpet. I'm really looking forward to this, actually, because, yeah, it's going to be pretty fascinatingly horrible. Let's begin, then. With the carpet fully removed, you can see the extent of the water ingress. We've got a little bit up here, but flipping heck, we've got a lot down here. Look how much water that is. It's a puddle. Where is that getting in? That is absolutely remarkable. It's like a little lake. Let's have a look in the front here. It's just as bad. It's just as bad. We've got all these electrical connections and everything here too, you know? Look how much water there is. Flipping out. All the cables are all damp and soggy. That is... I'm almost lost for words. Incredible how wet that actually is. And quite worrying too. Where is that all coming from? The carpet is so heavy because of all the water. Look at the mould on it and everything. It's literally raining over there, as it is here as well. Look at the water just dripping off it. That is truly extraordinary. Absolutely amazing. Look at that, a puddle in the carpet. Watch this. one job I always take great pride in doing is removing horrible aftermarket steering wheel covers. Gonna have to clean that steering wheel up a good bit, but at least this horrible, disgusting cover is off. Let's chuck it where it belongs, in the bin. Goodbye. I've had to re-record the audio on this clip because the wind noise was so bad, annoyingly. Should have really thought I noticed that at the time. But anyway, in this clip, it was time to seal the sunroof once and for all. The gaffer tape just wasn't doing the job. It was still leaking in, making the interior smell and staining the head lining. So yeah, you can see this tube here of Tiger Seal, and that was the stuff that I was going to use to seal it up. The first couple of goes of that sealant is now done. Definitely not the neatest job you'll ever see. There are still gaps that will need plugging, but I'm going to just let that kind of... I know it dries pretty quick, that stuff, so just give myself a little break and I'll go again in a few minutes' time. But that's not looking too bad, really. We go once again on the hunt for the water ingress places on the Streetwise. It's another day, it's cold, it's November, but I'm cracking on. Another potentially big issue is here, where the boot hinge joins the body of the car. You can see there's a rather hefty gap actually there. It's going all rusty around there, and over on that side too, you can see in there we've got a bit of a gap. So I think water is getting in there, travelling down inside here, and it's then, I've removed all this trim here, that was a bit of a pain in the backside. It's then following the curvature of the car down, and you can see where it's a little bit moist here on that electrical connection. It's then dripping down where it hits that and then falls in there, then accumulates, comes down here and ends up in the wheel well. You can actually see a little bit of liquid there from when I was chucking water over it last night, and we have some surface corrosion that I'm going to have to clean up in there. And it could well be the same issue in here. Now, I dried all this up yesterday, but there is signs of water leaking. Ah, there we go. See that is coming out at the bottom there. Yeah, I think it is coming through that seal, isn't it, there at the bottom? I'm pretty sure. So that is going to need mending. We have some long-awaited good news from the Streetwise. So as you can see with the wet ground and all that, it's been chucking it down the last couple of days. Some rather heavy showers have rattled through, and we are bone dry in here, which I'm really, really delighted about. I've sealed up this door here. You can see some of the black sealant that I've put on it, so no water is escaping into the interior from there. Yeah, okay, look, there's a couple of little drips in the corner there, so some water somewhere is still getting in, but it's not a lot, so I'm not overly concerned about that. Got our little rubber sound deadening over there with the foam backing drying out, because I think that's what's producing all of the smell in here, along with this headlining, which is absolutely knackered, but all Rovers do that, mate. They all do that. Oh yes, and of course the sunroof, I believe, is completely sealed, because no water is getting into the interior from the sunroof, which I am ecstatic about. I really am, because finally there's a bit of progress on the Rover, which is great. I'm debating whether I should bother whipping the door cards off all the doors, to just double check that all the seals are okay in the door cavities, but I mean, they're just simply not leaking, so I must assume that they are, you know, so why would I go and fiddle around with something and risk breaking it, etc, etc. So I suppose I'm probably being a little bit lazy as well, but I'll see how I feel. But I haven't got a whole lot of time today to mess around with it, so I'm probably will just double check and test the water tightness of that seal that I've put down the bottom of this door, refit that door card, I think it's finally time to put the carpets back in the Streetwise. Now, I've been away actually for the last week or so. I haven't done any work on the Rover at all. And in that time, the weather has been absolutely horrendous. Winter has really struck. We've had lots of heavy rain, strong winds. So when I came up to it today, I was kind of thinking, oh, there could be a lot of leaks, could be a lot of water in here. But thankfully, I'm very happy to report it's bone dry. Apart from the boot where there are still a couple of leaks, but we'll sort them in due course. So it is time then to get the carpets back in the Streetwise. Now this might be quite a tricky job actually. They are, I can see them, they're over there. They've been treated with white vinegar to kill any of the mould. I can't deep clean them outside of the car because it's just too wet and I haven't got anywhere to kind of put them and to clean them. So I'm going to put them back in the car and then deep clean them with some carpet solution and a wet and dry vac. But yeah, that's all in the future. Let's just try and get them back in first. And there we are then, finally. Oh, that wasn't easy, getting the carpets all back in, but thankfully, goodness, thankfully it's there. So I suppose I've just got to reconnect all these electrical items and get the centre console back in action and everything like that. So yeah, no, thankfully, car's watertight, carpet's back in. So I think that is a win. So look, there's going to be a lot more Streetwise content coming. The next thing I think is to give this thing a flipping good deep clean, which I'm about to start on, so yeah, tune in soon.